3-5. So shall we start, sir? Singh sir?
Sir, we can start.
So, first of all, good afternoon to all of you, and welcome for this meeting. It's an important meeting. We thought we should join and deliberate together. I'm really thankful to each one of you for joining in this meeting. I request HP Singh, CMD, sat in and the chair of Sadhan to chair this meeting and give his presidential note. So to begin with, I will just set the context, and then I will hand over to Singh sir. He will also give his views, and thereafter it will be kept open. It will be open for discussions. Basically, it's a deliberation. We need to jointly so that we should plan how to do it. Let me wish everyone a very, very happy Dashra, Vijayadashmi, and also all the greetings of the season. We know that microfinance sector has been doing very well in the last 1.5 years. In fact, after the COVID second wave was over, since then the sector has been doing well. And last year we saw an excellent performance by all of you, all the MFI players. And as a result, the whole sector grew by around 21%. And we reached around 3.52 lakh crores as far as the sector is concerned. If you see the MFIs alone, it is also grown by around 33%, which is around 1.79 lakh crores. So on the whole, I would say that it was a great performance during the last year, and it continues even in this current financial year also. Even the recovery has improved substantially, and it has almost reached the normalcy like the pre-COVID days. But for some losses we still have as far as during the COVID time. Otherwise, the performance is recovery performance is excellent, and the par value above 90 is almost like 1.4%. So it's a good performance. I would like to compliment each one of you for this, and it's an excellent performance. And one good thing which we saw in this whole performance is that there is a client expansion happened during the last 1 year. It has increased almost 18% from 448 lakhs. It has increased to 532 lakhs in last 1 year. There has been areas which are not otherwise banked or otherwise not reached by the microfinance institutions. So these are all really great performance, and I will try to you. In fact, the new regulatory norms, we know that it has really given us a leverage to have more freedom. And I have seen this freedom has been quite well used by most of the MFIs. This has also resulted in an increase in the interest rate, which we all know. I mean, there is a justification for that. There has been credit losses happened during the COVID time, which was still carried on. So there has to be a higher risk cost for while calculating the cost of lending or the interest rates. So that has been there. There has been an increase in the interest rate in the overall market. The policy rates have increased by 250 basis points. So it was justifiably, I would say, the rate of interest also grew by around 200 to 300 basis points as a whole. This has really helped the sector to stabilize, I would say. This has helped the sector to stabilize, and it has now become more stable than ever before. We are also seeing the performance of various institutions, which is being published in the public, in the newspapers and all, and we have been seeing how well some of the institutions are doing. I'm seeing one of the institutions have achieved about 98% increase on a year-on-year, about 98% increase in the net profit. So I think there is a huge benefit as far as the sector is concerned. Probably it's a time for us to look back and see whether we should also think of giving back something to the society. Having said all these things, I would like to flag a few concerns for which I thought we should have this discussion. One, which all of you know, there is a there's a case of over indebtedness happening. Since the number of lenders has been removed, we have been seeing suddenly there has been an increase in the number of lenders in many cases. In some cases, we have seen up to 7 lenders for one the same borrower. This apart, we are also seeing other kind of lenders in the market. Especially the fintechs have become very, very active and operating almost in the similar space. Nidhi companies are active in some of the states like Tamil Nadu or Kerala or some other states where Nidhi companies are having, kind of a large lending happening almost in the same space. SSG Bank linkage program is also growing, which we have seen in the last 1 year. It has touched 1.88 lakh crores. Cooperative banks are there in many states which are also active. None of this information are getting captured in the CIC. So what I'm trying to say is that there is an unknown devil with whom we are also working with. There are several lenders whose data is not getting captured in the CIC. We have to keep that also in mind when we assess the indebtedness of the people. Probably that is the reason why we find that suddenly the indebtedness has gone up. And we are also getting some feedback that the repayment obligations or repayment liability is not getting captured properly, not being worked out properly. As a result, probably some kind of a stress we are seeing here and there. Whether it is because of this or otherwise, we are seeing a few suicides which have happened recently, which is quite unfortunate. Especially in some states like Rajasthan, we started seeing in Udaipur certain stress. Then we saw suicides happening in Bardwan, Puri, Kanjar, and in Kerala, I think it has become a big issue. Some 3-4 incidents have happened just recently. It's not only because of microfinance or indebtedness. As I said, there are other players also happening in the same space. One of the major culprit is the loan apps, which is causing a debt trap to the people. They are making available credit so easily. People are tempted to get into that, and once they start borrowing it, they get into a trap of that. So that is causing a lot of harm to the whole system. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to keep in mind not only the indebtedness which is available in the CIC, the Credit Information Bureau data, but we should also be keeping in mind that there are other kind of liabilities also there for the people, because the same kind of people are able to borrow left and right from anywhere. And when they get easy money, there's a tendency to borrow more, and that creates and it causes a kind of a stress to the people. So we have to be very, very careful as far as this. I'm sure all of you are very, very senior people in the sector. I don't have to say, probably I am the least experienced in this sector, but still it's my duty to bring it to your notice, and which all of you knows that we need to tackle this kind of a problem. So we don't want to get into a kind of an issue which has resulted in a AP crisis or a Assam crisis. We don't have to get into that kind of an issue. So that is why I'm trying to see how do we tackle this issue. So these are two major issues we thought we should flag upon. Another one is about the interest rate. Today also you must have seen in the newspaper, there is a big article in Business Line where it says that RBI is not quite happy with the way the interest rates have been there. We have been also tracking the interest rate. We have seen there is a raise in the interest rate. As I said, around 200 to 300 basis point increase has been there over the prior to the new regulatory norms came into being. But as I said, to some extent it was justifiable in the sense there has been a credit loss on account of the COVID related stress. Second one is that the cost of borrowing also has increased. But then how long we should continue with that? Because now we know that the COVID impact has been gone out of, it's gone, and we have already factored and we have already provided for. So no more that becomes, no more it exists as a major problem. Secondly, the rate of interest also has stabilized to a level. So is it time for us to start looking back and bringing down the interest rate? As I said, when you find that the net profit are increasing by to a level of 98% on a year-on-year basis, it gives a very, very wrong signal to the people that probably we are there to make profits. So it's time for us to probably look back and to start bringing down the interest. So this is one thing which I thought I should also flag here. For information, this has communicated to all of you through a mail. We had a meeting with the Reserve Bank of India, the CGM, from DOS. She was, of course, she was inquiring about the sector as a whole. We tried to give the sector related information, including some of the concerns we have. But then on the other hand, she was flagging only on the interest rate. She was talking about only the interest rates are not getting. We tried to tell her that it is mainly because of these two things. One is about the COVID impact, and other one is because of the interest rate rise in repo rates, the policy rates, which she was not ready to accept it. She was saying that it's no, it's not time. It's time for us to start bringing down the interest. So, which is now showing as a concern, which has been already there in the newspaper. I'm sure this is going to when they come for some inspection, this is going to be checked. So, this is something which we should work on. See, let me also tell you, it's within these four walls. Let me also tell you certain things. We have been also keeping a watch on the interest rate. There has been certain things which are probably, I don't know, we are not able to fully understand. There are 118 districts in the country where there is a maximum interest rate of 30% or more. In some of the institutions, not all the institutions, I'm saying some of the institutions, they have got a differential interest rate. That's fine. Differential interest rate is an acceptable thing, which is the new regulatory norm provides for that. But then we should have a proper reason for that, and there should be a reason which has been recorded in your documents. You should have a policy by the board to have a differential interest rate, number one. Number two is that when there is a differential interest rate, that should also be properly recorded so that nobody can blame, nobody can point a finger at you. So we have seen that there are some institutions having differential interest rate, and as I said, 118 districts are having 30% or more. The highest being the 36% in one of the districts. It could be a one-off case. I would say that it is not a. It's not the normal thing, because we have seen that the average weighted average interest rate is varying between say 23 to 26% only. So that means the most of the interest rates are well below this level. But there are a few cases where it is going beyond 100%, 30% also. So what is the reason for that? Why we are having this higher rate of interest? If that can be properly recorded, that would be good for you. And I'm sure if some inspection is there by RBI, that will not get a problem. So this is an area which is of concern. Probably we need to discuss on that and see how best we can work on that. We all know it's an election time. Things are becoming hotter. Already there are announcements of loan waivers. There will be false announcements happening everywhere. So let's be cautious about this. Let's be careful about this. Already an organized group of people are working at the Qarz Maafi Abhiyan, which is also causing a problem. We have already taken up this matter with the Reserve Bank of India, with the Government of India, with DFS. We have also taken up with the district collectors of some of the districts where we found this was coming up in the early days. So this is a major issue which probably all of us needs to tackle on. What I would suggest is that if there are any, because it's totally a false promise which the people are giving, and they are also taking the name of government, which is totally a wrong thing. You can always go and file an FIR. I'm saying that if there is such kind of an instance happening in your area, in your branch area, let's file an FIR against these people. Let's bring them to. I know in Bardwan or in some of the districts in West Bengal, these people have gone and met the DC and the SP, and they have said, they are assured that they will take action against these people. So try to do something against that so that it doesn't get spread. So these are some of the points I thought I should bring to your notice, and we should deliberate on that. This is a forum of all the senior officers. I'm sure most of them are CEOs of the institutions. Let's think aloud about how do we go forward and limit any damages which can cause because of this. With this, I stop here and I hand over to the Southern's chair, Singh Sir. Singh Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Gigi sir. And I think you've, good afternoon, everyone. I think you've explained practically everything in which are the key points. I would just like to add a few things, to this, I think technically, if you look at there are practically three topics, which we need to discuss, and we'll go one by one on this, So one is the KMA, the Karza Mukti Abhiyan, thing which was going on. And I would like to ask everyone, basically, I think, by the steps taken by MFIN, member institutions, UPMA, Sadhan, and everybody, I think, that is now on a dying spree right now, And I just want clarification from everybody else, that whether it is still relevant across because I think the major impact was in Eastern UP, of which I probably have an idea of. Rest everywhere else, I think, the impact was more from the Kisan Mukti Morcha in Punjab. And I think, this particular organization, I think this is now practically dying down. If that is correct, I think, we probably will take a separate course of action based on this. Can I have just feedbacks from everyone? Because my own, feedback is that this is now practically dying down. And if anybody has anything else which is separate to this, probably we can hear that out,
Yeah.
We'll take one.
Yeah, this is Amardeep from Midland Microphone.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Probably I have my CEO also in this meeting right now. I'll just speak about the interest rate regime first for just a minute. So at one side, the RBI is taking a cognizance of the interest rates, but the other side, RBI 4 days ago gave a statement, the governor, that the interest rate hardening is here to stay. So I mean, Sadhan must take a view that one of the reasons of interest rates staying stable and not going down is the borrowing cost also, which is not stabilizing. It's still going up. So
even the credit cards.
Yes, plus that, yes, absolutely. So I mean, if you read the newspaper of 3 or 4 days back, RBI is pretty clear about it. So this is one of the things. I mean, briefly, I'll not take much time. And I'll request, and one more thing, at MFIN level also, we've discussed the Karja Mukti Abhiyan is not a state level subject. These people have branches, or the people state-wise, they've given WhatsApp numbers and contact numbers that this so-and-so person is in charge of Punjab, this person is in charge of UP, and this even West Bengal, and even Karnataka for that matter. So this is a centralized sort of a thing, and it's not a state or a district level issue. So I think Sadhan must have somebody, a very legal, prudent legal firm. They should take advice and move forward at a centralized level. This is what I personally feel. And this Karja Mukti Abhiyan is still active. It has not died down. And the Kisan, the thing which is more active in Punjab, I think, Nitesh, can you add briefly, because we have so many members, everybody will have their own views. So if you can just mention what is Mr. Singh said, it's dying down. I agree to some extent, but Nitesh, can you just add something to it?
Yeah, very good afternoon, sir. I think I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, with this.
So yeah, so in Punjab, I think we have this Karja Mukti influence going on in 3-4 districts, majorly near Gurdaspur, Taran Taran, Amritsar, and some more districts nearby, wherein they started from here only, I think from Punjab only, and I think we have engaged very actively with the local administration from MFIN side, and there are 4-5 MFIs. We went there, we talked to the district administration, and they also have supported the deployed DSP. They had an investigation. In few cases, they called those people and they backed out. But in our entire area of operation, we have seen similar incidents coming in eastern parts of UP, some parts of Bihar also. But Bihar, it was managed very well. Some parts of West Bengal and I think some parts of Karnataka also, we have seen all this coming in. But yes, it was very much actively present in Punjab. And what we realized is that when we were talking with all these people locally, we realized that there are people from national level who have talked, who have interfered, and they when district administration start talking to their local people, they brought all these national people, and I think it was difficult for us to I think handle it on an institution level. So I think. Mr. Amardeep sir wanted to convey that I think we should deal it at a national level because they have spread their wings and they are still active at ground level. But I think with increased awareness at ground level, and since it is localized in 4-5 districts, it is easy. It is for us. It is easy to manage. But when it will get spread in all geography, it will be difficult. So I think this is an updated situation. The situation has not spread into other parts of Punjab. It is yet localized in 4 districts. But yes, we have to act something to handle it going forward. Yeah.
Abhishek, I fully agree with you, and it is a national issue in the sense it is there in different, at least 4-5 states. We it's happening.
Somebody
Manjunath
wanted
here.
to say something, sir. Your name is not displayed.
I am Manjunath.
It's just
Sir, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute, Manjunath, sir. 1 minute. So I just was telling that we have taken up directly with the Reserve Bank matter. With the DFS, we have also taken up. With the district collectors of few of the districts where it was coming up in the initial days, we have taken up. But I know that it's a problem which has to be tackled at the national level. But I would also suggest that probably we should also put in a FIR against these kind of people, because this is a total fraud which they are creating on the people. So that I leave it to you.
GG sir, let me clarify. I think, we have, as an organization, we've been very proactive in, filing these FIRs. We've been able to do it in Rajasthan and a couple of other places. And this we've done individually. My whole problem for everybody to really understand it. It's very easier to say to file an FIR and do all that. It gets very difficult for individual organizations to actually work ahead and file FIR, because it becomes very difficult. If you have a rapport with the district administration and the local police authorities, you're still able to file something or the other. But on a national level, I've asked even MFIN as well as I'm asking Sadhan and everybody, you should have lawyers in your panel, basically, who are able to take calls in the district courts or maybe in the high courts across, because it's not something which is probably going to be left to the individual member level, because technically everyone, Upma did it, we guys did it in Rajasthan, we did guys try to do it in Punjab, to send people from even the police authority. But it's very challenging for an individual organization to file an FIR. When it's a constructive SRO behind it and it's a constructive body, it becomes easier still to file it. But the only problem is that somewhere I think these SROs also will have to probably come forward, either get lawyers on their panel, or probably move abroad in unison together to file these kind of FIRs, or maybe petitions in the court, probably to negate this. Because what happens is these KMA guys will form a national level, but you guys still remain fragmented towards looking at your individual states as such. And I've been talking about this for a very long time, but somehow I think that cohesion and unison doesn't probably agree to be there. Otherwise, it'll be left for all individual organizations to fight their own battles in every state where they are majorly prominent. That is how the battle is probably being perceived, even by those guys and even by us.
I agree, sir.
Totally agree, sir. Totally agree. I was trying to convey the same thing. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, Manjunath here.
Yes, sir.
In fact, we have in Karnataka, we have met a very senior advocate, High Court advocate, and he is of the opinion that the FIRs will not work. And in fact, going to court also will not work. So this kind of a movement, which is led by somebody, has to be fought at a social level. He says you are going to waste your money if you go for filing an FIR. It is not going to work, because whatever that Supreme Court lawyer, the Karz that pamphlet says, only if he is an advocate, then only we can go to the bar council to debar him from making such false assurances. Only that is a possibility. Otherwise, through FIRs and through legally, it is very difficult to counter this. This is what the proper advice we have got from a very senior advocate in Karnataka.
Right.
So I
So
would
from
like,
Repco,
I
so
would
from
like to,
Repco, here, sir.
yeah.
So from Repco here.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So I would like to just discuss on 2-3 issues, of course, which has already been told by you in the initial discussion. One thing is about the borrowing costs. So the lending policy of the, especially our company, it is of course in tune with the guidelines of pricing issued by RBI. Okay, so we have to necessarily follow that, taking into account and factoring all the components of cost, your credit cost, your borrowing cost, your operating cost, and everything. And operating costs, as you all are aware, that is quite high when compared to other banks or other institutions. The microfinance institutions operating cost is quite high because you need more staff and all that. That apart. And coming to the borrowing and the sourcing of funds, see, there are a lot of constraints faced for small and mid-segment NBFCs, especially like ours. You know, for example, in NABARD, you need to be top 2 notch rated. That is one thing. Even we are third, in fact. I can share it, nothing wrong. But we are not able to get NABARD funds at a low cost. Similarly, in SIDBI, they insist for a corporate guarantee, where our promoter is government. So government will never give a guarantee for a microfinance institution loan. So all these are several constraints which, hinder us to raise loans, at a competitive rates. This is one thing. But nevertheless, we are charging only very competitive, very low rate when compared to even other microfinance institutions. I would like to place on record here. And comparing the profitability for the last 3 years, sir, according to me, it wouldn't be, there is a lot of anomaly because 21 was a year of COVID, you know. So that year, the profits are very, very abnormally low, where you know, some of them could book only losses. That is one thing. 22, there were a lot of, write-offs in most of the institutions after bouncing back. And 23 is a real profitable year where things have been set to normalcy after this post-pandemic and all that. So that comparison, since you are telling that some 98%, that is, I feel it is an abnormal, year where you cannot compare with the last 3 years. Profitability, it is not, that's not in tangent, so that is one thing. And loan waivers, of course, definitely it is a hindrance to the microfinance companies, because, for example, in Tamil Nadu during the COVID, after the COVID, they announced a waiver by all cooperative societies, all cooperative institutions who've given, microcredit. There was a waiver, but we face a lot of problems because we are not a cooperative. So the public view it as only a general waiver, but we are supposed to recover. So all these are the hindrances. So if this, sourcing of funds is little convenient to the companies and banks, though there's a private sector requirement and private sector benefit, many banks hesitate to give to NBFCs even now, stating a lot of reasons. They are shy towards, funding to NBFCs. So if this is tackled by RBI, definitely our cost could be, lending cost can be still further brought down, sir. That is my view.
Fine, agreed. But I fully agree with you. You can't compare the figures like that, but I was only saying that optically, probably that gives a wrong picture, right? If somebody announces that it is 98% growth over the last year, which optically gives a wrong impression to the people who see that. I fully agree with what you say. There has been a problem as far as 22 profitability is concerned, or 21 profitability. One more point I just wanted to bring to your notice. I don't know how far it is correct. We just had a comparison of the borrowing cost, the borrowing cost of most of the institutions, which the data which you have given, because for our BMR, the data which we get from most of the institutions, it doesn't show that kind of an increase as far as the borrowing cost is concerned. I don't know whether the calculation is correct or wrong, but it doesn't. And for your information, overall weighted average cost has come down by a few basis points, which is
Yes,
may
sir.
not be.
Yes, sir. You're right. No, you're right, sir. But what I'm trying to tell is, even further down, it could be brought down if NABARD is little, flexible in their lending, NABARD and SIDBI, with these conditions. That's what I'm trying to tell. As you said, it has not gone up abnormally, but still further it could be brought down if this is permitted.
What I'm trying to say that we are.
Gigi sir,
If I intervene, one point, sorry, sir. What happens in a scenario where the rates were going down during COVID, when all of these TLTRO and everything was implemented, and to prop the economy, RBI was cutting rates. At that time, the base rates have gone down, but the lending rates of the banks did not go down. Margins of the banks had improved. So hence, if you look at the comparison between the borrowing cost at that point of time versus today, the increase would not be that much. But the fact is that the credit cost has gone up, and at that point of time, we were benchmarked to the base rates of the top 5 banks. So hence, our lending costs had to go down because of the regulatory regime.
Right,
And
right.
because now the regulatory regime has changed, we have gone and repriced the loan according to our costs. And if you look at the cost structure before the rate cut that happened versus today, it is almost the same. So everybody was around 23, 24. Still people are at 23, 24. Maybe some kind of there would be an anomaly where people would be at 26 or even
Yes.
high. So that is, I think, something that needs to be explained to RBI. And I think this requires ample amount of advocacy, and only Sadhan can play that role, or MFIN. But I think SRO should educate where it is necessary to the regulator and give the correct picture. I think that's very, very important. I think.
So Sadaf, exactly this was the point. It's not just the borrowing rates, it's the credit cost. So if you look at the credit cost for the last 4 to 5 years, compounded annual credit cost for everybody has been about 4%. If you add that to your borrowing cost plus your operating cost, you're practically at the same level where we were when we started with COVID and before that, as what was mentioned, It is very imperative for the SROs to probably keep on reiterating this fact to RBI that it is not just the borrowing cost and the output cost, which we are actually charging. It's actually the risk-based pricing which has been factored in to a very large extent. If you look at it, we've all lost practically about 10 to 15% of our portfolio in the last four years or so. Now, where will that cost get recovered from here? We are actually institutions which have answers to the shareholders, stakeholders, even the bankers and everybody. So for us, it is very imperative that this message should probably be told to RBI rather than just looking at the output and what the input is all about. It's the intervening things which are also very necessary for arriving at the final output cost, which is to the borrower.
Correct.
So would say something on the rate of interest, if all permits me. Huh?
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon. So since last 20 days, the RBI is querying us on the rates. A Delhi Mumbai office has called us and they wanted to understand the rates. So each and every point we have been very, very clear that how we drive the cost of fund, how we drive the OPEX, and how we drive the credit cost, and how we drive the margins. So still we are charging the same if they multiply, if they have old mechanism for driving the rate. Let's say the average rate into 2.75. I think most of the NBFC MFIs are still on that same note. If everybody suggests. Now, the RBI is totally satisfied with our rate driving, and they don't have any question on that, because the rate has been increased only due to the credit cost, which has been due to the COVID scenario. Second one, the Abhiyan, Karja Mukti Abhiyan, what we did in Digambar Finance, we have been filed our RTI to PMO because PMO name is also involved in this. We have given a case study to certain national channels. They are working on it, and immediately we are we have been in the talk with the local police officers. As CMD Sadhan said, is true. It's very tough to file an FIR where you are absolutely right and somebody is wrong, but you are being an NBFC. It's very tough to file a FIR with the police. So it's true, very, very true. So what we did, we got notices from some customers. They said that they have been registered with this Karja Mukti Abhiyan and their loan has been waived out. So what we replied that we have given a legal notice in which we clearly mention these terms and conditions. We clearly mention, which has been signed by you, that anyhow your loan cannot be waived by Digambar Finance. So 2-3 people has been satisfied. They are now paying their dues. but somehow maybe some few people are not ready to take the call, because they said whether we have been signed, it doesn't matter, but we got this certificate from they said government of India has issued this certificate. So this needs to be clear through some channels, through some public awareness, that these are the fake certificates. They are no more on that. But I don't know, because we have been talked with the RBI, local RBI, they are totally helpless on that. Thank you.
Can we think of giving a joint kind of a campaign advertisement? Like earlier, I remember IBA, the bankers joined together under IBA, and they used to give some advertisements against some of these kind of issues.
No, actually,
That will work.
maybe, no. I don't want, because this will be counterproductive. Because it has not spread now, it is very local. By giving an advertisement, we are making more people interested in this whole thing. We don't want to do that.
So no advertisement or anything. The only thing which I said earlier was both SROs will have to get together, empanel your legal team, get the state administration or the central courts or somewhere, to probably do it. Take a concentrated joint effort. Keep on pressurizing RBI also on the Karz Mukti Abhiyan Yojana, and they will write to their own district regional offices, and let it be a concentrated campaign by both the SROs put together. Individual organization can do as much as they can do it. I think they cannot go beyond that, because this has to probably be done for both the things, even for the interest rates as well as for the Karza Mukti Abhiyan, all this stuff. I think it is where I think the SROs need is required, and their efforts are to be put in basically to have that kind of an answer to it. So keep on. I think you'll have to keep on engaging with RBI for both the things. You will have to keep on engaging with legal entities, legal advocates, legal luminaries on your panel, outside the panel, whatever it is. But it has to be a concentrated joint effort for all of you to be put together to get through these problems.
Right. Karthik,
How would you say that you can't counter any problem? Then what is the solution behind that? If you don't go to the field and don't say that this is very wrong and this cannot be happen, so how the people will know? I'm not agreed with the way that we cannot publish the news at all, because see, some people are everywhere there. So if you have any videos, I think that has been shared by Mehtab sir as well. The people are still going to the e-mitra and all. They are enrollment doing other. So it's a mouth publicity. If you are doing say that this is wrong, that may be possible that people stop doing this.
No, you have to.
No, I'm speaking from the experience. In Karnataka, I'm sure it's one of the most affected states over the last 1 decade by these campaigns. Not just the Karza Mukti Abhiyan, but we also had campaigns from scheduled caste. We had campaigns from minority community. So in such cases, we had to actually go individually. Even if 5% people are getting affected by this, then the whole industry will go kafir. So we need to handle this individually at the customer level and at the group level itself. We cannot let it spread. That's very important.
No, Manjunathji, what we are saying is that we are dealing with it at our individual level. Nobody is saying no to that. You convince your own borrowers by giving pamphlets, by talking to them, telling them that this FIR has been filed, this has been there, this is not the government and everything. That every institution will do individually. But what I'm saying is on the concentrated level, by saying or talking to RBI, to talking to the courts, talking to legal level, that should probably be planned by the SROs together, unitedly, probably to look at that. Individual level.
Not the advertisements. The advertisements. See, the other gentleman was telling, no publishing. We should not be doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we
right now only 200 people know, then 20 lakh people will know basically. So
advertising would be adding fuel to fire. That is what they are looking for. They are looking for legitimacy, and we would be legitimizing them. I think rather than that, SRO should file a complaint with all the financial regulators, RBI, Ministry of Finance, DFS. You should say that there is financial destruction of financial assets which is happening, and people are behind it, and they are using PMO name So definitely they can be brought to books. I think
Yeah.
that's very, very important.
Yeah, these are national level problems basically, which have to be addressed by national level organizations for the betterment of their members. See, individually we can only do that, but as I said, it's the institutions which are national level, which is the SRO, Sadhan and MFIN. For both the interest rates, you will have to talk to RBI, convince them on why our problems are there basically because of these two issues. I think, that is where I think, the answer lies, not rather looking at the individual levels of satisfying the RBI or maybe the Karza Mukti Abhiyan, outputs as such.
But I
Totally agree. Just one more thing, sir. Before we do it, I mean, the application to all these central agencies should be very, very cleverly drafted, legally very, very sound. So this is what I can just want to.
Abhijit, you're right. That's why I said, I even told MFIN as well as Sadhan, have legal advocates, good legal advocates on panel, basically, who are able to really catch up to a problem and, file an answer before we guys really get into that act of fighting the fire on the.
Now the Karza Mukti Abhiyan, I was told, I'm told, is led by a Supreme Court lawyer. That's what the pamphlet says. Now, if he is a Supreme Court lawyer, we can go to the Bar Council and very easily actually reprimand him. That is what they say. So, but we do not know whether he's a Supreme Court lawyer. People sitting in Delhi can definitely find out. Yeah.
Manjunath, the Supreme Court lawyer, we don't know what the name is, who the person is. Similarly,
there is there. The name is also put in the pamphlet. The name is there.
Manjunath, listen. Even the certificate is signed by some chartered accountant. Now we don't know who that chartered accountant was, the membership. You're not able to find out actually, so you can't take a call like that. That's why I said, this kind of an effort probably will be led much better by the SROs rather than we being fragmented all across in different states, taking proactive actions on different levels over there. It has to be a concentrated effort, both on the interest rates as well as these kind of issues by the SROs through their legal panel heads or through whatever they are able to convince the RBI as well as the other things, probably to move ahead. There is no other way out to, look at these problems,
My suggestion would be we should be on a same path for on this Karja Mukti Abhiyan problem, I think, because everybody has his own views. So I think Sadhan have words with all the MFIs and put together and release a single guideline that how we deal with this Karja Mukti Abhiyan. I think this is the good way, because if we all are on same node, then the customer will definitely know that this Karja Mukti cannot be done so far, because every field staff having its own view on Karja Mukti Abhiyan. So I think we should be on the same note, that what we have to tell to the customer. That is my request. Nothing more than.
Yeah, I think that is correct. And also, I think, Gigi sir, we have to also tell everybody, apart from not advertising, not to talk to media about all of these things. Interest rate and all this Karza Mukti thing can be very, very detrimental to the overall sentiment towards the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things, which is to be followed and adhered by everyone. Please don't talk to media about anything about this. The moment one thing goes, they can distort it in any which way, and it will land all of us in a big soup. So be very clear about not to talk to media or anybody else. Let the SROs do the talking.
I have one suggestion actually. I have one suggestion. See, at our level, speaking of my organization, we do a lot of credit plus activities, which includes a bit of charity. Of course, many of our institutions, brother institutions, sister institutions have also got their charity arm. If the SRO can highlight the good things done by these foundations of various institutions, what they have done and what they have done for the community. Some of my MFI colleagues also, softer environment by doing some charitable activities together with the help of the SRO. I think that will have an impact. Like, for example, in Karnataka, we are going to face a very bad year this year. We are having a very good drought, and the government has come out with a statement that it is costing more than 1 lakh crore. I mean, it's going to be a bad year for us. So at this time, what MFIs can do a little bit, that will have a positive impact. Not much, within the limits that we have in our hands. If we can do something to alleviate to this kind of a drought situation, for example, maybe supply water in some of the villages, these kind of activities. I mean, it can be headed by the SRO itself or
Right.
I think we're losing, yeah.
Right. Manjunath sir, we are losing you. We are not able to hear you. Karthik,
Acme, they should come together and do activities which will change the opinion of the people on this. So,
Manjunath, we are losing you.
If somebody else has anything, we can probably hear. I think,
Yeah, so I just wanted to Jiji sir and Singh sir, I think this narrative on
am I
price.
audible now? Yeah, hello.
Manjunath sir, we are not able to hear you properly. Missing in between.
Let Karthik say,
Am I okay now? Is it better?
Manjunath,
Mr. Karthik was saying something, so
Yeah. So basically, I think this whole narrative on interest rate is, I think we need to be very clear in terms of our response. I think there has to be some definitive legitimacy on pricing that we need to be able to share with the Reserve Bank. And I think one area where this can be kind of demonstrated is, in the earlier days, and I mean even today, I think there is a kind of a tacit acceptance, even a regulatory, if I'm not mistaken, with the banks, that sub 2 lakh loans would not be kind of having more than 26% pricing. So I think the outliers, as Jesus sir you mentioned, could probably be explained in greater detail. But a legitimate pricing threshold should be very clearly communicated, because otherwise this will snowball into a much bigger issue. I mean, there are different parameters. I think there is a very clear guideline. Boards of the MFIs have been very clearly kind of instructed to determine the pricing in line with the regulatory directive. But in the conversations that we have with the regulator, I think it is important to have a threshold legitimacy on the interest rate.
No, definitely. In fact, what we have been also saying that the average interest rate, weighted average interest rate is around 22-23%. And we have also told them that there is a slight movement towards what you call it, has started reducing in a few cases. So we had been, wherever we talk about interest rate, I said, this is within these 4 worlds only, we are only sharing this kind of things only for our. See, there is no problem of having a differential interest rate. My only point is that just have a policy on that and just ensure that why that interest rate is differing in certain areas. Because as I said, there are 118 districts with 30% or more. It's a fact. We have collected the information. We have the information that is not shared with anybody.
So that, to my mind, is a bigger kind of explanation that we have to give. But I mean, we shouldn't have a situation of throwing the baby with the bathwater, where I mean, at an industry level, if 90% of the portfolio is at 26% or below rate of interest, it becomes a kind of a narrative which might be difficult to defend. So and there is a very strong case that sub 2 lakh loans by banks have a cap of 26%. So I think it could possibly be one benchmark that can be used.
Right.
Am I audible now?
I think we should clear on the components for driving the interest rate. Number one is the cost of fund that can be drive on XIRR term or maybe IRR term. Secondly, the OPEX, the operating cost, that will be definitely derivable or calculation can be done. Third one is that what we are charging, that is the credit cost. Since last few years, we have been faced the credit cost almost 2.5%. And the third one is the risk premium, because what we are not charging for any specific area. Fourth one is the margin. So we keep our margin as low as 2.75 to 3%. So that cost clearly mentioned in our website as well as the loan policy. That RBI has also been on that. It's okay for that. So only the thing is that the cost of fund drive is only the challenge for everybody else. I think Sadhan should have a data on that, how to drive the cost of fund, because OPEX on a peer one, I think it is almost same 7 to 7.5%. The credit cost is almost same 2 to 2.5 to 3%, and the margin is in Digamba we are charging not more than 2.75 to 3%. So these three components are still same. The only component changeable, that is the cost of fund. So Sadhan will come on with the calculation how you drive with the cost of fund. That makes sense to drive your rate, lending rate. I think that is, if we are on same node, then nobody can ask a question on that.
Right, sir.
Okay, from
Yeah.
good afternoon, everybody. From NAFIN's Bangalore, I would like to share some of my thoughts. As regards the rate of interest, I think we are one of the lowest charging institution. In fact, after the liberalization by RBI, the new guidelines, we have brought down the rate of interest by 125 basis points, and we are getting very good response. Having said that, I feel some of our industry institutions can bring down the cost. If I see the Sadhan's own data, there is scope for, I'm seeing the reports and all. Our stress level has come down drastically, and the improvements is that collections have gone up significantly. The growth is there, so all of positive parameters are there. I think there may be some headroom available for all of us to bring down the cost. Having said that, it has to be decided by individual institution. Coming to the second one, that is regarding the way we are maybe mobilizing the borrowers, or we are providing the loans in the field. I remember in case of West Bengal, where the tragedy happened, where the sad thing happened, where the suicide was there, we were the first lenders, and there are 6 lenders in the 6 lenders are there for the same borrower. It appears that other lenders have not done the CRIF check or the credit bureau check. These kind of, I think, compromises with the fair practices code or the code of conduct issued by Sadhan. I think we have to make some introspection where we are also faltering. So this will give way to others to make comments that we are compromising with the systems, and also whether we are giving unrealistic targets to our staff. So this is what I felt after going through this figure, because our name also was figured in that I had to clarify that point. And second, one more point is about the Equifax. We are seeing that the persons who have been sent out from organization are joining other organizations, and I'm finding that maybe Equifax was not referred to. I don't generalize, but these things are also happening. So we need to address all these issues. I request Sadhan to please look into this and take a maybe very constructive way of handling it. Whether the 8th and 9th we are meeting, whether half an hour or 1 hour, can we sit together and come with an action plan so that everybody will grow and grow with maybe with the society. Society will appreciate our contribution. That's what I would like to share at this point.
Thank you.
Just my opinion about 2 things. One is Karja Mukti. I think as because we are also based in Bengal, so we face the same thing. But I am fully agree with Singh Saab that it is a national level things, and no individual, they have the ability or they have the efficiency to go to the local administration, and also it should be taken care by Sadhan and MPIN jointly.
Right.
And we have to be more careful because, West Bengal is very, very political sensitive state. So now, till now, there is no political interference has happened. But any point of time, any state can take this as an advantage and they can make an issue of political things. So we have to be, as an association, we have to be extremely very fast to do the needful and engage some proper legal firm.
Okay.
So that's one part. And secondly, everybody is doing their best to educate their customers, their borrowers on their individual level, and that is everybody is doing that.
Right.
On a legal part, I think Sadhan should be very proactive on this, and this is one part. Second part is I mean, regarding the interest rate, being in the sector for about more than 20 years, I mean, 20 years back, even RBI was telling it, they are charging exorbitant rate of interest. So when we are used to charge even 21%, 22%, the same things we used to listen. But what I have understood even during this local RBI office when we meet, they do not have any clarification on the cost of borrowing, what we used to do, and what are the other costs involved in this. So they only see what is our lending rate. So I think if we have a very clear cut, not only on the one side of the coin, so we should tell them what is the total, I mean, cost of the borrowing, and also depend on the rating of the MFIs and the size of the MFIs. So maybe who is having the A-rated MFIs, he is having quite lesser cost of fund, but who is having B or something like that, or smaller MFIs, they do not have any capacity to negotiate with the banks. So they are definitely, if some MFI is having more than 1,000 crore, 2,000 portfolio, they are the cost of average borrowing, and who is having maybe 200, 300 crore, they have a huge difference. So I think these are the points we should tell to RBI, so that they should be, I mean, sometimes we should also regulate, educate the regulator. So I think that is second part. And thirdly, regarding this, the over indebtedness. So what happens? I mean, there are one part is like we do not have any data for the fintech companies, how much they are lending and to whom they are lending. So that's one part. And secondly, if you see, like most of the MFIs, we are giving the data to credit bureau on a regular basis, but those are doing this BC business with the banks. Banks do not update the credit bureau data on a regular basis. So, I mean, if you see on an average, there is a gap of about 40 to 45 days. And that also creates a lot of problem later. So I think these are the few points I want to make. Thank you so much.
Kuldeep, what you said is very right. See, that's what I was telling in the beginning also. There are others which are not getting captured, that we have to factor in for that also when we appraise a person's borrowing capacity. Not only the data which is available from the CIC, we should also ensure that, I mean, we should also keep in mind that there are other kind of lending must have been also there for this person. Like fintech, you rightly said, it's an easy way of getting money. Many of the people get into that and get trapped into that. SHG data is not getting trapped, not getting captured. So it's a big problem which we are taking up separately. But then at the moment, at the field, when somebody is appraising a borrower, keep in mind these kind of things and try to, I mean, elicit that kind of information also, so that it doesn't get into a larger problem.
Manjunath, can I?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I was driving. Actually, what I was suggesting is for the entire sector. Now, these kind of opinions will always be there. That about Karza Mafi, interest rate queries, and then the way in which work, this will be there. One way to counter that would be through some of our service activities, some of our charitable activities, which SKDP has been doing for the last 3 decades. You know, actually, not all of my money is spent on charity, but at least a small part of it. Now, of course, the companies are also mandated to do certain amount of charity. I think we must use the help of the SRO to direct certain charities in a particular geography which is really affected. Like, for example, I was telling, in Karnataka, we are faced with a drought situation. If SRO can pool some of the funds from MFIs and take up certain drought related activities, I'm sure it will soften the mindset of the people and the community. And especially politicians, I want to tell you, if you do 1 rupee's work also, they will appreciate it. Oh, you have done so much. This is what they will recognize. But being smaller MFIs, they may not be in a position to individually show a contribution to the sector. But together, if we can come together and do some programs and then call the politicians, much of our opposition is softened. This is what our SKDRP, for example. Of course, we are a charitable institution and we do a lot of charity. Even if I do 1 rupee charity, give one this thing, but still politicians appreciate. Yes, oh, you have done that. okay, you are good. Like that, this kind of a opinion has not been created for MFI sector. Now the time has come. Now you have a strong SRO as in Sadhan. A time has come to all of us to join together and create a fund and do some solid charitable activities in areas where we feel that there's going to be an opposition. For example, tank repair of the local tank. It creates such a huge impact. One tank you repair, the entire state will know. And if it is done by government, they will do 4x, 5x more expenditure on that very same tank. If it is done by us with people's contribution, it can be brought down to such a large extent that everybody will be surprised, because we have the grassroots level intervention capacity. All our workers are good at grassroots and they can bring people, and it can change a lot of things. So my suggestion is that if MFIs can contribute a small amount for a fund which can create a platform for charitable activities, this will definitely soften the opinion of the people on MFIs.
Right.
So Gigi sir, just a small request. I would like to excuse myself. I've got another meeting. So kindly share the minutes, sir, if possible. Can I just leave?
That's
yes. Sir. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you so much.
So, Gigi, sir, if there's anything else, we've already passed 1 hour from this. Any members have anything else, otherwise then we'll also like to, wind up if there's any more questions or any more thoughts which you would share, I think,
Going on the interest rates, I must confess that, in fact, we are also very stressed on the interest rates, but actually going up, and banks are not interested in actually lowering the interest rate. I don't know what is the opinion of the RBI or sector specialists, but whatever we may say, the interest rates have actually gone up for the last 1.5 years by at least 100, 150, 200 points. And institution like SKVP is also under stress on the interest rate and managing our. So I think we cannot be too much particular about the interest rates of the MFIs because they have their grounds for making that. But on the other hand, like it has been already pointed out, as SRO, we must go to the regulators more often and try to actually make a case out for the contribution of this sector for the whole country as a whole, and where actually the banks have failed. These MFIs are here because the banks have failed. I mean, because I'm working with the bank day in and day out, I tell them to the bankers also. So we are here because they have failed. So I think that must be in a subtle way. We have to bring it to the notice of the regulators, and then we should do something more to the community as a whole, as an SRO. This, of course, we require more introspection and more contribution from the individual MFIs. These two things definitely will change the scene.
Right. Achha, Vivek, yeah, can you come?
I just want to add 2 things here. One is generally as a sector we make a hit picket ourselves. Means when we start our communications, we start with a negative, setting a negative mindset, negative communication from ourselves. Means that is, I think, must be avoided. We have all have lose almost 15 to 20% of our AUM because of COVID in last 2.5 years, and most of us are still recovering. And what we are talking about is the interest rates are increased by 200 basis points, but it is not a true picture. If it is the average rate of interest that is increased for entire sector, it comes from 1.8%. And that was our argument with the RBI for especially for the give that freedom so that we can be more sustainable. We can be a resistance. We can have a resistance to survive in case of crisis. That was one thing, so that loan loss provisions and everything can be. It cannot be always less than 1% or 1.5% all the times. That is one thing. The other things are there that. There is one negative journalism is there, means maybe someone has painted. But what RBI is thinking, they can even think that what some CEO is saying, they can write that without quoting any, disclosing any name and anything. Such such news can be published any day, and any newspaper can publish. Chief Minister is thinking like this, Prime Minister is thinking like that, or any other institution thinking like that. It cannot be a worry for every time, but on the other side, how we are able to set a positive message as an SRO from our side. In case of countering any negative news, always after 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, with based on data and information, how we can publish the positive reports in media, that is also important. And in our communications, if we are saying that there are societies in that part, and this state or this district, we are dealing with almost 7 crore families, and 7 crore families means almost 35 crore population is there that is being impacted positively and negatively, both ways, means that is being impacted by the microfinance institutions. And in that 35 crore population, there will be happiness, joy, and many more things in the same way, just like several state-like activities there. In 35 crore, we have to identify the real reasons behind actually if there is any society case is there. And if we are saying it from our table, our side, sometimes the message goes negative that the sector is again in the wage it was working before AP. And such rumors, sometimes they go long, and entire positive impact of sector is faded at that particular time. So as a sector means what we want to communicate, that should be highlighted, and what we have created our impact, that should be highlighted, and also the way we have to promote the interest rates. Always it is good that if we are charging 24%, tomorrow someone will say even 22 is high. And one day 20% is high, another day 18% is high. But there is some rationale is there in terms of setting up the interest rates and charging, surviving. The sector was almost about to collapse 2 years before. And from there, we are again in the mode of devil again. If such discussions should be cut from early stages and through our positive news, positive impact, and how Manjunath has told that through our CSR activities and positive news in the market, I think the message will be much louder. And Karja Mafi and all the were in the past, but they are there. They will remain in some other forms. These challenges we have faced in last 20 years in different parts of the country, but these are regional problems and can be managed today or tomorrow, because borrowers, they are aware that only the willful defaulters, they find a way that they don't want to pay, and there is some abhiyan or something is there. So that has impact. That is only thing I want to say here. Thank you so much for giving this time. But I may have spoken too long. So sorry for that.
I support it. I support it. Only on a positive note, sir, we should come with the view that we have been given an employment for unskilled labor, which is very most important.
Right.
That we are not mentioning anywhere that we are giving employment much of the people, those who are unskilled. Number two is that we are delivering the services at doorstep, which having a cost on that. So these two things.
And collateral free loans.
Absolutely, and the collateral free loans again, definitely. I'm leaving few points for your discussion. Number one is that the CGT MFI schemes gives by the government that 2% less by the banker and 2% you have to give pass to the customer, right? What we did, we have given a 2%, but our loans are on fixed rate. Banks have been increased their rates by 2.5 to 250 basis points. What happens? Our margin has been shrunk by 8%, then it comes to 6%. That hampered us all. My suggestion is that if any scheme has been clearly mentioned by developing by the RBI, that our SRO contribution should be taken on that. Number two is that this RBI, the SETB fund has come from the RBI itself, and they have given on 11.5%. So RBI is not able to give us or provide a fund on a reasonable rates. Everybody is hampered with the cost of funds. So I think if the banks has taken a step for bring down the cost of borrowing, then in that case we are able to cut the lending rates. That is from my side. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's just I want to make one point. This is Sharat from Gramin Development.
Yeah.
We are discussing, about interest rate and cost of borrowing and all other things here. we are giving more stress on that, and I think that is yes, those are real problems. But at the same time, I think sadhan is we are giving responsibility to sadhan, and we all collectively is sadhan. It's not different. So sadhan at the national level, they must do something in this regard. But at the same time, I think at the individual level, individual lenders level, see, the problem is it's not only the interest rate. It may be because the politicians are all are seeing that interest rate, they are raising this issue. But the issue is mostly the overlending. Because we are giving 6 loans, 7 loans to the same person. So where we are actually individually, what we are looking into? Because those are the major problems. Because of overlending, because of multiple lending, that is the major problem. So we should also stress on that. But we are not discussing much about the overlending or multiple lending. I think that also should be stressed as a southern or also as at the individual levels of all the lenders. This is the point I just wanted to make.
Right. Achha, Mr. Kumar?
Mr. Kumar?
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, this time, what I like to recall, one important thing is the ethics of microfinance. In 1990s, when I learned through NABARD and others who take a very great initiative to introduce this microfinance, the charging of interest, it's compared to money lenders. We actually assume that 2% per month. That means that the 24 per annum is more than enough. And if we charge more than that for any course, either it may be margin cap of 10 to 12%, who charge borrowing from the high cost of the lenders, but whichever it is, the MFI who charge more than 24%, 26%, then there will be some, we are inviting some crisis or, some bad experience to everyone in the country. This is what actually, we may do some social activity or not, but we have to show our concern that we are not charging the similar kind of the money lender who exploit and destroy the people, the poor people. So my logic behind here is the interest rate. Now there is actually the board of directors should take the decisions, but there is no limit on that, how much we can charge. And if we say many reasons, we may find many reasons to increase interest rate, but we should have to have our ethical kind of things on this microfinance practice. So this is what actually I like to draw attention from all of you, that if we charge more than 24, yes, we can extend up to 26, but more than that, there will be a lot of issues will come out. And we may do social or anything from our profit, but we should not charge beyond that. This is one thing. And another thing is the microfinance is a very important toolkit for the financial inclusion. So if we go on this calculation of many things and increasing of our pricing to our client, that spoil the ethics and the beauty of microfinance. Small money, big changes. It will affect on that. So these are something actually I like to draw all of your kind attention, so that our service can reach to the needy people with the actually affordable and acceptable kind of cost. Thank you so much.
Right, sir. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else who would like to say anything? Someone has put a message that lenders are extending loans to the default borrowers. Such practices should be avoided. Ticket loan is size needs to be organized. Okay. Anything else? Anything you would like to say? Anything?
So, representing the SHG sector, Gigi, I want to say, see, SHG sector is not coming under the umbrella of, credit bureau and credit bureau checks. However, NABARD tried to do that. See, we have a basic problem. Although it's completely, the accounts are with the banks themselves. Since the banks are only interested in dealing with the group as a whole and not with the individual, we have been suggesting to the banks that they must make a provision for taking the default of the individuals, so that at least defaulted borrowers can be projected on the credit bureau. Nothing much seems to have been thought of and done by the bank. I think if RBI takes an interest in this, I think the banks will definitely, because data is available. We know which member has defaulted and we share the data with the bank. And if,
we have, when we met the DG last time, we raised this issue, we flagged this issue. There is an RBI circular in 2016 which says that the bank should report the data.
For groups,
that
for individuals. Banks are for the SHGs, but SHG is nothing, is a non-entity. It's the individuals which matter in the SHG, and not all the.
Gigi, sir, just 1 minute. I will have to take a leave. I'll have to take a leave. So we can minutize all these discussions which we had. You carry on the discussion. I'll just take.
We'll just close it. I think any other.
No. I have just one more issue. Just take 1 minute. That is now when the elections are coming around, RBI is regularly issuing a circular on allowing the MFIs to carry on with the transaction. This has not been done for BCBFs, the SHPIs. So I think we should bring it to the notice of the RBI. We have done it on our own, but I think as SRO, we must write this down to RBI. When they issue the circular for the next election, they must include the word BCBF and SHPIs also in transaction.
Right, agreed. Okay, I think we have already overshot the time, and we'll close it. If there are any more views from your side, you can send it to us. And thank you so much for all your views. And I fully agree with the views expressed by you. See, the idea was not to pinpoint anyone or accuse anyone. I was only trying to flag certain issues which are generally coming in what we hear say. And RBI, as I said, we had been engaging with RBI, so RBI had been making certain comments. We are also trying to tell them the reasoning why the rates of interest are high. We told about the COVID cost, the credit cost, as well as the increasing. But then they have their own views, of course. So then we'll be continuing our engagement with RBI and other institutions, and we'll be advocating that. Regarding Kasmafi, we will definitely take the legal opinion and see how best we can. We are already, for information, as I said, we are already taken up immediately on seeing the first case itself. We collect with the district collector, with the state government, with the RBI. In fact, when we discussed with RBI also, we flagged this issue, and the madam was, CGM was said that we are aware about it, and we are also taking up this matter with the state governments. So these are all happening, but things have to be done more, I would say, coordinated way. And as someone said, we will be able to give you some kind of a guidelines. How do we approach this issue more practically? So with this, I thank each one of you for being here and giving your views. I'm sure these are all useful tips and useful information. And as I said, there is nothing to accuse anybody or pinpoint anybody. It's only to just as a SRO, as a association, I just wanted to bring it to the notice so that each one of you can take note of that. It's not that, you see, ultimately, I'm not asking anyone to reduce interest. If interest rate is, you have to make a review of that. If you feel the interest rates are right, perfectly fine. I have absolutely no issue about that. And secondly, when you have a differential interest rate, keep a record of that, why it is differential interest rate. There is nothing wrong in that. RBI also does not have a problem, I believe. So I'm only trying to raise the issue, flag the issue. It's for each one of you to take note of that and do accordingly. If you feel that everything is going well, and it's fine. So with this, I stop here, and I once again would like to remind you that we have our national conference on 8th and 9th. I request each one of you to be there for the conference, and especially on the 8th evening, we have a members meeting where CEOs are invited. We have a meeting of the CEOs at the lawns of Hotel Ashoka, where we are planning to honor each one of you for being here with us for 25 years. So please do come, please join us. With this, I stop and thank you so much. Thank you, Singh Saab.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.